Hi, everybody. We're back. You know us, right? You don't know us? You should. Okay. We're the Salty Sisters. I'm Kat Corchado. I can't even say my name. See, I don't even know me. How do you expect you guys to know me?
You know what the problem is, Kat?
What is it?
You just started to say I'm Kat Corchado, but you didn't say the right thing.
You're right.
Right?
You're right, Yvonne. I can't. Okay, let me start over. Hi, everybody. You know me as the freaking fabulous Kat Corchado, and my wonderful salty sister here, Yvonne Marchese. And we are here to talk about it's Love Month, but we're talking about in particular loving you, loving yourself, and how you can do that. So before we go any further, Yvonne, would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, sure, Kat. Freaking fabulous Kat Corchado. I am Yvonne Marchese. I'm an age agitator, and I do that as the host of the Late Bloomer Living podcast and the Age Agitators Club for women, of which I am the prez. And you could be a member if you wanna, if you're a lady. I'm in a goofy Friday mood, Kat. Oh my goodness.
This could be spicy or
Watch
something else. We don't know.
Watch out, man. Watch out. Oh my goodness gracious. So, what should we say?
Well, here's a question.
I'll tell you what just happened. I'm looking
What?
at the streaming thing and it says go live, but we are live, right?
Yep, it says we're live.
Tech. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we are talking about loving yourself all year long and finally learning to love ourselves later in life. I think this is an opportunity in midlife especially and beyond okay, what am I saying about this? In midlife in particular, I feel like you've got this golden opportunity to get to know yourself better and step into the next act or the next phase of your life, the third act or whatever you want to call it, because hopefully you've still got energy and you've got some health, you've got your health that you can count on, hopefully. And even if you don't, there's still stuff that you can do, like if you've got some problems, right? I feel like there's this moment where we can really capitalize on our life experience combined with still having some facility and being healthy, and
But
yeah.
don't you think, though, that part of loving yourself is knowing when you're doing too much or
Yes.
knowing that you need to cut back or you need to cut something out of your life?
That is
Maybe
the struggle
sometimes
of
it's
my life
people.
right now,
Maybe it's
Kat.
even people. If
Yeah.
you have
There's
toxic
nobody I want to
people,
cut. Yeah.
no,
Nobody I
me
wanna cut
neither.
out right now. But the other part of it, the doing too much kind of thing, I mean,
Mhm,
you know that I'm in the middle of my living playfully at any age challenge.
mhm.
And the reason I'm doing that challenge is it's not about playing, like going and doing things to play. Like I roller skate in the summertime, I paddle board. Those are things that I do to play, that are activities that are playful. I'm learning how to play the ukulele. I'm trying, but I'm also trying to take on a playful attitude in my life, which involves like a curiosity and stepping into things with a sense of, what if this could be easy? Is the
Mhm.
question that I'm asking myself more. And I feel like that is a learning to love myself thing that says I am worthy of feeling joy at any given moment, you know?
Can I tell you about a playful activity? It wasn't meant to be playful. It ended up being playful.
Oh, that's even
So
better, kind of, right?
it is. It was in the
Yeah.
moment. It was in the moment. So our anniversary, I just had my 30th wedding anniversary, and which is on February 14th. And my husband took me to see the Dance Theater of Harlem, which was magnificent. Huge capital letters, magnificent. So it was packed, which was great. And we had to park all the way on the top tier, okay, of the parking deck. And so, you know what it's like when you get out, everyone's trying to get out, so everybody was trying to take the elevator. We're talking 20 to 30-minute wait.
Ooh.
And I looked at the stairs and I looked at my husband. I said, "Do you want to take the stairs?" And he goes, "Okay." He goes, "Let's race." 9 flights. So I'm giggling so hard. I'm climbing up the stairs and my husband starts saying stuff. And he goes, "You're just slow. Come on." I go, "Stop making me laugh." And I couldn't climb the steps. And we finally got to the top. So number one, we did it. Yay.
Yeah.
But it was this fun type of, it wasn't, I got to take the steps. I want to take it. It was like, we were like little kids screaming, we're like, "Oh my God, this is so hard."
I love it. And after 30 years of marriage, and after the end of what probably was a long day to begin with, but there you are.
Mhm.
First of all, you put something on your calendar and you went and did it, and it was something special and it was something out of the ordinary.
Mhm.
And you did that, and then it was beautiful and capital M magnificent, right? So you've already got your
Mhm.
energy up, and then you've got this decision to make. Wait a long time for the elevator or climb 9 flights of stairs. And you could look at both those options and go, these are both suckety suck options.
Yes.
Neither, thank you. But instead, you chose to go the stairs and then you'd made it into a fun thing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was, we were like kids, we were just giggling and people were looking at us and going, "What's wrong with them?" And we didn't care, because we're an old married couple and we can just do what we want to do. But
I love it.
Yvonne, how would you define self-love, particularly in the context of midlife?
Okay, this is how I would define love in the context of midlife. Is that I do see midlife as an opportunity to get to know yourself better and dig into that with some curiosity and make little changes in your life that free you from all the things that you thought you needed to do or be, that you decided when you were younger based on, you know, trying to look good, trying to fit in to the crowd, or trying to please your parents, those things. This is a
Mhm.
great opportunity to actually go deep in you and go, what do I want? Regardless of all
Absolutely.
that out there, what do I actually want?
Mhm.
I think that's self love.
And I think it's different for everybody. To me, self-love is recognizing when I'm doing too much, realizing early in the day that I have a long day and I have a migraine and that's not going to happen, you know, instead of just powering through. It's keeping the door open that we've talked about before of, what's behind that door? What else can I do? It's that adventure type of thing. Maybe it's a day of not doing anything, like my catitude day. Maybe
Yeah.
it's just realizing what do you want? And only you. Not
Yep.
anybody else, not your kids, not your husband, much as I love my husband, but it's about you. What do you want?
And
And
listening to your body, like you just said, if you have a
Mhm.
migraine or if you are just slogging through your day, and let's say that there's nothing on there that absolutely has to get done. Can you look at your calendar and go, okay, this does not have to get done today. It's on the
Mhm.
calendar for today, but it's not a have to. So, can you just step away from all the things on your to do list for 15 minutes and go get horizontal in bed and lie down and maybe not take a cap nap? Some people don't like to take naps in the middle of the day. I'll take 15 or 20 minutes and lie down, and it doesn't matter if I fall asleep. I'll play a little nice music or some white
Mhm.
noise, and I set my alarms so I don't go into a long nap because then I wake up all groggy. But just taking that time to actually step back and shift the energy that way, if I need rest. If I'm not super tired, then maybe the thing that I do to shift the energy is get outside for a walk or do a dance break in the middle of the day to raise my energy up, you
Mhm.
know? Um, Yeah. I think listening to our bodies is really important.
Well, I think also the power of no, the word no.
Yeah.
No doesn't mean no, not ever, or it might. Maybe it's no right now. And I
Mhm.
think we're so
I like
afraid to
that.
say no, that we don't say it. And then we end up doing things we don't want to do. And that's not loving yourself, by the way. It's actually exacerbating that whole thing of loving yourself. Good morning, Donna.
Hey,
But
Donna.
but I also feel as though that now's the time for self-love when you, instead of saying I should, I'm supposed to, it's, first of all, stop shoulding all over yourself and don't should over anybody else either. Now's that time when you say I should be working out. Maybe now's the time to say maybe I'll start my 11 minutes of working out,
Ooh, can you talk
right?
about the 11-minute thing? 'Cause
Sure.
I love that since you mentioned it.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, for those of you that don't know, I've been in the fitness industry for a long time. And I came across this article. And initially, the article was about, how they gave exercises to people for 11 minutes. It was actually cardio. Okay, let me put it that way. And they did high intensity interval workouts and all this other stuff. And I was reading through, and all of a sudden it hit me. I said, what if people just started doing 11 minutes? Like, start. Maybe it's walking around your apartment. Maybe it's walking the dog more often. Maybe it's something simple. Everybody has 11 minutes. Everybody. And I know
It
you think
makes it
it's not
feel
a
so
lot.
manageable, right? Instead of
Yes.
thinking, "I have to work out, I need an hour, I've
Mhm,
gotta change into my workout clothes."
mhm.
Oh, all the things that can get in your way to get started.
But what if you started with those 11 minutes? Like you're waiting for a meeting, you have a half an hour and you're like, what do I do? Do 11 minutes of something. It might be 11 minutes of stretching. It might be 11 minutes. I have long hallways in my condo, so I walk the hallways for 11 minutes. Do my neighbors look at me weird? Yeah, sure they do. And I just say good morning or good afternoon and I keep it moving. So start always whenever you start anything, and even in this instance about self-love, think about all the things that maybe you might want to start. And then always slow, start small. You don't start feeding a baby steak at 6 months, right? Well, you can, but it's not a good idea. Start like that. Start with a teaspoon. 11 minutes I consider to be a teaspoon. So, um, Yvonne, what do you think are some common challenges that midlife women face in the terms of this self-love? What kind of barriers are there?
Well, I think so often okay, here's one of the first things that comes to mind is that I think women in midlife often get caught in that whole sandwich situation of caring for their kids and caring for aging parents. That can be a real challenge to really showing yourself self-love, and it can really be a super big challenge to setting boundaries because you've got such a sense of obligation to your parents, to your kids. So I think that's a real challenge. What do you think?
I agree. Especially I had to take care of my mom. Well, I didn't have to. She came to live with us for 2 months. And if I tell you that it's so encompassing that you don't have any time to think about you. It was get up, go to the studio, come home, make sure my mom had eaten and all this other stuff, go back to the studio, come back, make sure she had dinner, sit with her for a few minutes, go to bed, rinse and repeat for 2 months. And and I get it, you guys. I really want to do this self-love, but I can't right now. And I get that. I really do. But look in the future. If this is a temporary situation, say, you know what? When this is over, meaning your parent is going somewhere else, not necessarily anything else, but they're going with another relative or maybe somewhere else, that's the time that you can look at your list and say, let me start a little teaspoon of this. You know, reminds me, what was that song? Just a teaspoon of sugar makes him.
If the medicine go down.
Why that came to me. But I think that we have to start shifting our mind more towards what we want. And it's not selfish. It's not selfish. When we are in midlife, a lot of us, you know, our kids are grown, or if they're not grown, they're in college, or they don't need us as much as they used to. And you're sitting around thinking, okay, you know, at any minute they might call or they might do this. Start doing things for you.
Oh, I've got an example of that. So the whole reason I started a podcast called Late Bloomer Living is because I had my own aha moment. I had a pivot moment that happened at about the time I was 48. And my kids were, you know, younger than like 10 and 6 or 10 and 7, somewhere in that range, right? And I had been burning the candle at both ends. I'm a photographer, so I was editing photos late into the night. And then my alarm would go off in the mornings, and I need to get the kids up and off to school. And I would hit the snooze buttons. Hi, Ramona. So glad you're here with us. Hey, Donna and Ramona, if you guys have any questions, pop them in the chat for us. But I had this pattern of hitting the snooze button every morning. And then I'd be running late, and then I'd be completely stressed out and putting out fires first thing in the morning. It was crazy. And I would get so mad at my kids, who were young, for not moving more quickly. You know, get your lunch back, get your backpack. We got to go. What are you doing? What are you doing? And one day I got in the car and I looked in the mirror, and I see my kid in the back seat, and he's got tears in his eyes. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've been throwing a tantrum. I'm almost 50 years old. When am I going to get my shizzle together? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that was a turning point for me when I realized that something needed to change. And my husband knew I was going down this self-helpy kind of path. And he pointed me he's like, you know, I just listened to this book by Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule. You should check it out. It was really good. And I listened to it, and she was hitting the snooze button every morning and all these. And so I was like, that's when the snooze button connected for me as a real problem. And I thought, okay, I'm going to do a 30-day experiment of getting up before my kids and setting the alarm across the room. So that I actually had to put my feet on the floor and go turn the thing off so I don't hit the snooze button. And I started meditating and moving my body every morning. That was my commitment to myself for that hour. And it required a lot of me, because I was definitely not a morning person, especially at that point, especially with the late nights I was pulling, trying to work after the kids went to bed, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It made such a difference. I started feeling so much better. And I believe that I transformed my relationship with my kids because of that. In fact, I don't know if it was 1 month or 2 months after I was into this new routine, my kids knew nothing about what I was doing. I went in and woke up my older son one day, and he randomly says to me, "You seem happier, Mom."
Aww.
And I was like, oh.
Huge.
And since then I've been like, that is it.
Mm-hmm.
I've checked in with my husband, like, I don't know, last year I was like, is it just me? Am I better at like dealing with like life crisis things? Am I better?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just me thinking I'm better? And he was like, no, you're definitely better. And it's because I started the process of taking care of myself.
I love that story. You know, it made me think about when I was a single parent when I was in the military. And let me stop right there. I want to say that having a temper tantrum is fine. I have them every now and then, just don't have them in front of your kids. I'm just going to say. But it reminded me that, you know, it was hard being in the military. It was hard being a single parent. And there were times when my son was like, well, you know, how come this and how come that? And I would hold him by his shoulders and I'd say, you and I are a team. I can't do this without you. And you can't do this without me. So why don't we just try to help each other? And he would be
Mm.
like, okay, mom, but I think that you had talked about the grind, that we sometimes get into. And, timing has been huge in my life for a lot of different reasons. And sometimes somebody will say, oh, well, what about this? I'm like, oh, this sounds like a good idea. And all of a sudden, a certain thing will go off in my brain. I'm like, it's time to do this. Don't ask me why this has happened, but it's making your life easier in a way that you desire. You know what I mean? It's putting things in place because, my son's grown, he's married, I'm getting ready. I won't say I'm retiring, but I'm, at a place in my life where I don't feel like I have to just grind anymore.
That's
And
a
now,
beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. I'm doing this whole challenge, just to try to retrain myself,
Mhm,
to rethink
mhm,
whether, okay, and notice when I'm grinding. Because
mhm.
do you still grind? Do you find yourself doing it or
Um,
hustling and
some days more than, some days, yeah. But now, when I have Tuesdays are really long days for me, and I will not look at my entire schedule on Tuesday. I look at the morning schedule.
Mm,
So from 6 or 7 to 10, what do I have? I'm like, okay, I can do that. And
I
then
love that.
yeah.
I
So I
love that
don't
you
look
don't
at
look at your whole schedule.
I can't. It will defeat me before I even get started.
Yeah.
So, Yvonne, what do you think of the statement of self-love impacts overall well-being and quality of life? What do you think about that statement?
I think that is 100% true. I found, I was doing some research on playfulness in adults, and I found a study that was done. Let's see if I can find this here. Rene Proyer, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, did a study on playfulness and looking at it specifically in people of different ages. And the quote from that paper that he wrote is playfulness facilitates the experience of positive emotions in all age groups, and that greater levels of playfulness are associated with greater well-being along the lifespan. I think we can make ourselves sick, literally sick, when we grind all the time.
What
I
about
think
just
our bodies
laughing?
are, oh, laughing.
You
Y
know?
I'll fake laugh sometimes in the mornings just to, and it's actually laughter yoga, I guess you could call
Um,
it that. But it's funny, if you start fake laughing, you're gonna start really laughing in about a second because it's so ridiculous. And it is a transformative thing to do, you know?
well, I mean, sometimes just laughing at yourself and let me tell you this story. And I'm not embarrassed. I just had a great laugh. So I bought these pens. They're erasable pens for my calendar, right? And of course it's purple. Of course it is.
Of
So I
course.
take the pen out, and I couldn't figure out. I thought, is it a push thing? Is it what is it? And I was like, dang it, I'm sending these back. And all of a sudden I'm playing with the little clip thing that clips to and it went click, and the pen part came out. And I was like, oh crap. And I started giggling at myself. I was like, you are such a bonehead. And I just laughed at myself. And I was like, okay, I figured it out. At least I didn't send them back and say that they don't work. So
When I do things like that, I'm like, Yvonne, you gotta be smarter than the pen here, you know?
I, Yvonne, I was like, that doesn't work. And all of a sudden I went click. I was like,
I
oh
totally could
crap.
see myself doing that. Oh my gosh, totally.
But I think
Ramona says, her life has become less of a grind, but she says, but I struggle with guilt of not doing and earning more. And I just wanted to point that out. Thank you for saying that, Ramona. I struggle with that too. We have been, it's the society that we're living in that tells us that it's all about work ethic and that the struggle makes it worth it, that the struggle makes you better, that you're it's this sense of unworthiness or something if we're not working really hard. And I have completely bought into that myself. And so I find myself feeling guilty when I do take time out to play or relax or do. So it's like I can't even, it's like when you do that to yourself in the middle of trying to relax, that is like a double whammy of sorts. Do you struggle with that at all, Kat?
Not anymore. I used
Not
to. Not
You're
anymore.
my you're my
I used
hero.
to.
I love that
Um,
you're getting away from the grind thing. Oh, tell me
yeah,
more.
which is
What's your secret?
why that's what started my Catitude days.
Ah.
And it started with that. And I was like, and and women specifically, when I tell them about Catitude Day, they're like, don't you feel guilty? And I go, not at all. It's on my calendar. My husband knows it's Catitude Day. He knows on Catitude Day, don't ask me to do squat. Although I would for him. I'm just going to say that. But
I love it. And it's
it's
once a week, right?
it's on Sundays. It's blocked out in purple, of course. And I do whatever I want to do. The only caveat is that I cannot do work. If I want to roller skate, if I want to do some yoga, if I want to do some meditation, if I want to sit in my recliner with my dog, because it's the only way I can sit in my recliners with my dog, and watch Netflix, that's what I do. But I think that we have to get past the societal expectations. When people say, well, and I don't know I don't know. I've never had anybody come to me like, oh, well, don't you feel guilty or whatever? No, I don't. Maybe you need a Catitude Day.
So this is making me think about it. This is how bad I can get about this. All right. So I got back to roller skating as you have, right? So I started last spring back on my roller skates, and I used to live on my roller skates from about the time I was 10 to 12, 13 years old. If I had a spare moment, I was on my roller skates. And I always felt free on them, and it was just joyful, you know? So
Mhm.
I was like, "I want to roller skate again." And I did start, and can I just tell you how wobbly I was in the beginning getting back on them? That was a shock. But I'm all padded up. I got my helmet, I've got all my pads, you know. And here's the thing, I'm doing it for fun, not for exercise, but for fun. And here, as I'm skating one day, I had a woman come up and say, "How long do you skate for?" And do you do it for, like, is it, you're doing it for exercise, and how long do you make yourself go? And I was like, "Oh no, I'm not doing it for exercise. I'm doing it for fun. It is exercise, but it's literally for fun." And here's the trick though. There are days when I don't really feel like roller skating. And then I feel bad for not roller skating when I have the moment to go roller skating or when the weather's good or so. And then I'm playing a guilt trip on myself that way for something that's supposed to be
Supposed to be
fun.
fun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. When will the
Yeah.
madness end?
Well, I think that, I can say that when I'm on my roller skates, I think about nothing else but where I'm at. Talk about being in the moment. Well, first of all, you have to be in the moment because you'll fall. Number one.
Yes.
And number,
Paddleboarding is like that too. It's one of the reasons I love
yeah.
paddleboarding.
And
Yeah.
I think, when like you're in the moment, and every time that I've had my skates on and, I skate, I take my skates off and I go, that was so much fun every time. Now you don't have to,
Me too.
you don't have to skate, but find something that you just say, oh my, here's another thing. You know what I want to do? Remember coloring books?
Mhm.
I want to buy some coloring books and color. Do you remember how
I
you
have
used to
one.
color? I
I
want to
have
do
one.
coloring books again
And I
because
got
you
myself a really nice set of colored pencils, Kat,
do
that
you.
oh,
I still want the Crayola crayons.
see, I get frustrated with crayons because they get all nubby and, they're only good when you first pull them out of the thing and then
Well,
and the
you have to
sharpen
get the
goes away.
64 that had the little, remember it had the sharpener in it? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, I don't think I had that, and I wanted it so bad, that big jumbo box with the
Yes, all the
sharpener that was built
colors.
in. The
Mhm.
smell of crayons, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That in and of itself is worth the whole process. It's worth
Play-Doh
the
too.
whole I
Play-Doh, does
know, I
that
love
do
the
that for
smell of
you too?
Play-Doh.
Yeah.
Yes. I would
Oh
just
my
sit there and
gosh.
smell. They're like, "What are you making?"
Maybe
I go,
we should
"Nothing.
go
I
get
just
some
want to smell."
Play-Doh.
It's good for your hands, the Play-Doh. And it's
Yeah.
more like, remember how they had we call the little squishy things to help,
Stress ball
stress
things?
balls.
Uh-huh.
That's the same thing. And it's cheaper. I'm just going to say it's cheaper, you
Until it
know?
dries out.
Yeah. I
It's
know.
gross.
I know. I know. Um,
Nothing like a fresh thing of Play-Doh when you open that
oh,
up and
I
it's
know. And it
brand
smells
new.
awesome. Oh, you got to put it back in the thing though and close the top.
Yeah.
But thinking about midlife, Yvonne, do you think that we're constantly evolving with our self-love? Like, it's kind of always shifting. Maybe the older we get, because I know that, in my 50s, I was starting the process. And then as I've gotten older, it's shifting even more towards the
I am
self-love.
shifting. Yes, yes, I am I'm committed to making it intentional to do that and
Mhm.
not just let it happen. Can I just note that Donna in the comments says that she has to show us these new doodle pads that she have has and they smell good. And she's excited to have a new grandbaby because then she gets to play all over again. That is a huge thing, isn't it? Like suddenly you've got grandkids maybe and, you can actually you're not super responsible for them like you were when you're a parent,
You
maybe.
give
I
them
mean,
back.
my ki I still my kids are still I've still got teenagers. Well, one of them's a teenager, and so I'm still in parenting mode, but I have my best friend from high school is the same age as me, and she just had her first grandbaby, so I'm just saying there's
Wow.
a lot of
I
possibilities
want
for
a doodle
grandkids.
pad, Donna. I even
Yeah,
like
right?
saying the word doodle pad.
Doodle's fun.
Doodling.
Do you ever hear this is so ridiculous. So I was making a list for myself of things to do that are playful that I could just keep the list and if I'm looking for something to just completely shake me out of my routine, like, well, let's go to the list and see what looks like fun at the moment. Anyway, making the list, I found myself one day and I was thinking about it all day long because I was making the list that day. And I'm like, what's fun? What's fun? And I'm doing dishes and I'm doing things. I can't remember what word it was that I said, but I started saying the word over and over. So if you say doodle, 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 it's
Starts to
like
sound weird.
any you can do it with almost any word. It's like you can make any word sound like complete nonsense. And it really it's like we used to do stuff like that as kids
Mhm.
because as a kid you're always experimenting and exploring and just
Mhm.
more open to doing things that are stupid,
Well,
because you're
I
not
think we
putting a judgment
forget,
on it that
Yvonne.
it's
We
stupid.
forget.
Yeah.
As kids, we're very creative. Oh, what if we did this? That's why we got in trouble all the time for being creative. you know but I think as we get older we forget, because now we have obligations, we have things that we have to do, and we forget about that silly part of us. My husband gave me the best compliment. He goes, I love the fact that you love me enough to still be silly in front of me. And I said, well, no one else would. They'd be like, why is she acting silly? I said, at least yeah.
My husband was he put a, he loves music and he put on some music the other morning and it was the Talking Heads and it was a compilation from their movie and it was just perfect. I was like, okay, you know what? You can play this every morning for like the next week or two. Cause as it was on, we started dancing. We were in the kitchen and we were just dancing and we were being so stupid. And our teenagers looking at us like, oh my gosh. My, oh.
We should do a minute where, because both of us we both have these fun playlists, where we make a video of ourselves, just get up and dance and see what it
Yes.
does for your brain,
That is a transformative thing to do in the middle
Mhm,
of your day. I swear by it, and I was doing dishes earlier, and I put on my favorite Pink playlist, and I was
mhm,
grooving out to my songs while I was doing dishes. Same thing the other day when I was doing tax prep. I realized, oh, I've got to go through my piles of
mhm,
statements and things like that, and get caught up on the mail, and
mhm.
I'm doing all that, and I hate to do that. It just feels really tedious to me. So I was like, boom, put on some good music. I just stood at the dining room table. I was sorting things,
Mhm.
I'm stacking things. And I was like, before I knew it, like the day was gone and I'd had a dance party,
I do
you
that
know?
with housework. I turn up the music
Yeah.
and I'm dancing with the broom or the handle of the vacuum cleaner.
My spatula today became my microphone, you know. I mean, I
Mhm.
think this is self-love. I think it's like letting yourself let
Be
go of all
you.
that
Yeah.
responsibility that you've
'Cause
been
I do that in
carrying
the
around.
car too. I had some guy, I was dancing him, I was like, "Oh," and I was going at it and I was singing, and this guy looked at me, shook his head, and I was like, "Okay," and I kept dancing. I didn't care.
He
I'm
didn't
in the
shake his head.
confines of my vehicle. I'm
Fuddy-duddy.
dancing my heart away. He had no idea how much fun I was having.
I
So,
know. I
there
feel
you
bad
go.
for him. I feel
I
bad for him,
know. When
right?
you're so serious that have you ever met people that are so serious, and you tell this joke or you just say something funny and everyone's laughing and they go, "I don't get it." You're like, "What is wrong with you?" "Aw, I'm sorry."
Oh my
So,
goodness.
Yvonne, how can give me one or give our audience one tip in how we can do one thing, if we could a takeaway for today that we could just incorporate into our life, just one thing.
Okay, I have one for you. Um, when you're brushing your teeth in the morning, most people tend to brush their teeth in the morning. When you're done, take a minute and look at yourself in the mirror and smile. Tell yourself, "I love you." So, it sounds goofy, it sounds cheesy, but it's really powerful.
It is. I love that when I think finding something that resonates with you, like I messed up today. I was trying to introduce myself as Cat Corchado and Yvonne called me out. She goes, you messed up. And so I say the freaking fabulous Cat Corchado only because it's for me. It's not saying how wonderful I am. It's reinforcing who I am to me. Because when you start saying it enough, put it on a mirror. Put your mantra on the bathroom mirror. Write it in lipstick, write it in something. And every time you walk in there, just like you said, Yvonne, you see it in the mirror and you're brushing your teeth and you smile and you're like, yeah, yeah, I am awesome. And you know what happens? After a while, you start believing it. And you know what happens when you start believing it? You start thinking, I can do that, then I can do this.
Yeah. And if you here's another thing that started in our community, people laugh and they because I'm like rock star. It that came from me finishing something one day, and when I was done I was like, I am a rock star, and it's like taking the time to celebrate your little wins, even if they're teeny tiny little wins. You've got something that needs to get done. You did the hard thing. The hard thing is done. Celebrate. Get up
You
and
have
get
to,
your dance party
yeah.
on.
I think that's a self love too, is when I think as women, we finish something hard and we go on to the next thing and we go on to the next thing and we don't look back and go, wow, I rocked it right there. I got that done and I got that done and I got that done. Celebrate. Celebrate. I don't care if
Mhm.
it's however you want to, just celebrate it, because you'll be so glad that you did. And that helps, I think, for me, the self-love, because, being in a mastermind, Kim tells us all the time, mark an important event or something that you've accomplished. So every time you look at it, you know exactly what that is. I bought this on here. Or you don't have to buy anything. Maybe you did something wonderful. You went on a vacation or something. But, the self love, I think, actually, and I think you touched on this, Yvonne, actually helps your relationship. I think that when you start self love, other people start to notice.
Yeah. I'm a better mom. I'm a better
Yeah.
mom than I was
Yeah. And I think,
because of
yeah,
what I'm doing for myself every day. 100%.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't, start off with something once a week or maybe once a month. I have to do weekly because, I'm a little extra, but the weekly reminded me that, oh yeah, because so when I have Catitude days, when I first started it, it took me about 3 weeks of doing Catitude day before I go, oh yeah, okay, I like this, because everything shifted. I have Catitude day. I go into Monday feeling, yes, I got this. And
I
so
love that, but it took you a while to get to
it
go, "Oh,
did.
okay, okay." So you did have a little bit of guilt in the beginning, but
Not
now you've worked.
guilt.
Was it guilt?
No, it wasn't guilt. It was more of, you know, well, maybe it was guilt. Maybe I was like, why am I doing this again? But then I kept doing it and I was like, oh, okay. I get it. It
Mm.
starts to come to you, you know.
Mm.
And I think that you just have to, I think if I had a tip, I would say write down some things that you would like to do. It can be simple, smiling at yourself in the morning, saying that you're freaking fabulous. You can use it. Freaking fabulous Yvonne
Um,
Marchese. See,
uh,
it works for anybody. But find something that just you're like, yes, I got
yeah,
this.
yeah.
And, it starts with something small. And then all of a sudden you're doing other things and then other things and then other things. And then people start noticing that, like, wow, you look different. Your energy's different, and I think it starts with one, and it starts with you. You're the one.
I
I
love
like the
that.
way I did
Starts with one.
that.
Starts with one and it starts with you.
With
I
you.
love it. I love it. It does start with one. It's one little change that you make can start an avalanche. But don't put that kind of pressure on it. Just start with the one and stay curious and see where it goes, you know?
Mhm.
And if that one is like maybe not, it's like, oh, okay, that was all right. What's next?
Mhm.
Like, pay attention and go, like, if you see somebody doing something and you feel a little like, well, I want to, how come they get to, huh? That's a hint to you to go, oh, there's something in that for me.
Mhm.
What is it? What is it that I want that's going that I like about what they're doing that I feel
Mhm.
like I don't have it, you know? You can use that feeling to clue in for what you want.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to try new things. And what I mean by that is, I had a client of mine take me to what's called a sound bath, where they use Tibetan bowls and crystal bowls, and the sound that the bowls make. And I was like, okay, let me go see what this is. I didn't know what to expect. I went in there. Can I tell you that once a month I do this now because I liked
Mm,
it so much? And so you don't know until you know. Don't sit there and go, oh, that doesn't sound great. Try it and see what happens, because you don't know. And it might be something you can interject into your life. And also, I wanted to just say out loud that when Yvonne was talking about rock star, that when I say freaking fabulous Cat Corchado, I'm telling you, it took me about a month or so of saying it, because someone made me say it every time I was in Clubhouse, before I was like, yeah, Yeah, I'm the freaking fabulous cat coach. Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Right,
And
and it
it's
all started because you were feeling good one day and you were just feeling a little sassy, right? And it came out of you naturally, and then Kim latched onto it and was like, "Oh, no, you need to do that all the time now." And then you're like, "No, no, no, no,
I
no,
know
wait, don't make me do that."
every time I went into her clubhouse room, she's like, I need to hear something, Kat. You didn't say it. And I'm like, why? What is she talking about? And so then and the more I heard myself say it, the more you start to believe it. Okay. And you start to think that I can do whatever that blank line is. So think about, those, doesn't have to be huge, y'all. Does not have to be a big deal. Think of that something that just resonates with you, and then do it and keep doing it.
Especially if it makes you uncomfortable. Especially because it's the other side of discomfort where all the good juice is. And
Mhm.
when you were saying try something new, my first thought was, yes, put yourself in the position of being a beginner, because we don't do that
Mhm.
very often when we get older, because
Mhm.
we want to look like we got it all figured out, and
Mhm.
um, but the more you can put yourself in the position of being a beginner, you're going to blow yourself wide open to new experiences, new feelings,
Yes.
realizing, oh, I didn't know I could do that.
Mhm.
And you'll suck at it at first. You will. Be okay with that. Be okay with not being good at things in the beginning and being like, okay, well, are you having fun is the question. Is it something that still like is pulling you
Mhm.
forward? If you hate it and you just don't like it, don't do it.
Mhm.
But if it's still like, I want to do it, but I'm bad at it, then keep going.
Well, I just have to say that I rocked the sound bath the first time I did it, only because you're in Shavasana the whole time.
Just
So
lying on
I
your back,
passed that
chilling. Oh my
class.
gosh, that sounds like heaven to me. I want to go do one of those. That sounds awesome.
Oh
Well,
my
my
gosh.
goodness, it's about time for us to wrap up here, isn't it, Miss Cat?
Well, Yvonne, what you got going on? Tell our peeps what we got going on. What you
Oh
have
my
going on.
goodness. Well, I'm really excited because this weekend I am being hosted at my local library as a local author. It's an author speak event that they do. So I'm going to go read from my book, and it's the first time I've done anything like that. And can I tell you, I'm a beginner. I'm stepping in and I'm being a beginner to do this, but I'm really excited to be doing that. And the library is really special to me because I feel like I raised my kids there. So it's a really special place for me to be going and doing something like that.
I love that, Yvonne. I really do. For anyone listening, you guys know that I always come out with a new podcast every Tuesday. And also sign up for a free week of Small Space Pilates. All you have to do is come in. You get to be silly and funny like me. And we have a good time, but we also work hard, y'all. I'm just going to say we do
I will
Pilates,
say
weight training,
this
and
too.
stretching.
Go do it. Go join Small Space Pilates, peoples, because Kat is not only freaking fabulous herself, but she is helping us to be freaking fabulous too. That is her
Mhm.
mission. Sorry, I just had to jump in on you there.
No, that's fine. And I just want to say that I'm breaking the mold of perfection. If you've ever done an online class, and not to say there's anything wrong with that, the instructor's perfect, perfectly coiffed, perfect hair, perfect makeup, perfect location, etc. That's not me. I'm gonna whine a little bit. I'm gonna tell you this hurts. This doesn't feel good, and I hate it, but I do it anyway. Okay. And that's what I want to get across to you is that, I'm in this because I know what it does for me and I know what it does for my body. And I feel that everyone has the right to feel freaking fabulous in their own bodies. And I want that for you too. So until next time, what are we talking about next time, Yvonne? When's our next show? She's like,
Well, our next
I
show
always
is
put you on the spot.
I was looking right before we go. Well, it is Women's History Month.
Mhm.
And so that could be a little bit of something going into our March 1st is our next live stream. We do them on Fridays at noon every other week. And so the next one is March 1st. We hope you will come and join us again. And we've been having guests on, so we're hoping to have another fabulous guest on the show soon. That's to be announced later. So it's a little teaser for you. And I hope you'll come back and join us. And I also want to say that I do have the Age Agitators Club. So if you are looking for some place to come and be in community with somebody like Kat and Kim and Donna, who is in the audience today, come and join us, and we will keep encouraging you to step in to be a beginner and make waves as you age.
I like the making waves. I like splashing around, making waves. Well, thank you
too.
everybody for joining us. Yvonne, you were fantabulous as always. And we'll see you guys in a couple weeks, March 1st, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. So until then, y'all, bye.
Bye. Thank you.